Alright, so today let's talk about 15 amazing linear games set in the past, each offering unique stories, characters, and atmospheres. Let's get started. The Order 1886 takes place in an alternate 19th century London where you're part of an elite group of knights fighting against supernatural threats like werewolves and rebels. The game's steampunk aesthetic and cinematic visuals are breathtaking. Every detail, from the intricate weapon designs to the richly detailed environments, makes the world feel alive. But as beautiful as this game is, it's also painfully short. Clocking in at around 6 to 7 hours, it feels more like an interactive movie than a full-fledged game. The gameplay is also quite basic, with overly linear level design and minimal replay value. Still, if you love immersive, story-driven games with stunning visuals, it's worth experiencing.
Escapees down!
More escapees coming from the alley.
Shit. Damn.
Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown is a return to form for the franchise, blending the series' iconic parkour mechanics with fast-paced, challenging combat. The game's striking visual style and reimagined mythological setting breathe new life into the series. Plus, the platforming puzzles are satisfying and rewarding, encouraging you to master your skills as you progress. My biggest issue with this game is its reliance on backtracking. While the level design is creative, you often have to revisit the same areas multiple times, which can feel repetitive. The story, while serviceable, also doesn't quite hit the emotional highs of the original trilogy. That said, if you're a fan of action-adventure games, this one delivers in terms of gameplay and nostalgia.
Two of you.
Mafia Definitive Edition is a love letter to fans of the original game and an excellent starting point for newcomers. Set during the Prohibition era, the game follows Tommy Angelo, a taxi driver turned mobster, as he rises through the ranks of a crime family. The story is gripping, the voice acting is top-notch, and the city of Lost Heaven feels alive with its period-accurate design. However, the game sticks a little too closely to its linear roots. While the city looks fantastic, there's not much to do outside of the main missions, which makes it feel more like a backdrop than a living world. Also, the driving mechanics can be a bit frustrating at times, especially during chase sequences. Still, the strong narrative and excellent pacing make it a must-play for fans of crime dramas.
What's it to you?
Fella named Sam is one of your regulars.
Maybe there's a lot of guys named Sam.
You know him. Works for Don Celieri. Maybe you got him talking about our business from time to time, and maybe Don Morello offered you some money to spill what you heard.
No, Sam, trust me. I don't say nothing. He knows that.
Well, the Don's losing a lot of money because someone can't keep their mouth shut.
I was just bumping guns with some of Morello's girls. I didn't mean nothing by it. Tell him I'm sorry. Tell him I won't never open my mouth again.
I know.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
You scared then? Good. Don't you ever forget how it feels to be this scared. To know you're just one twitch away from a hole in the ground. Because if you ever show your face in this town again, they're gonna find you with two in the head. Do you understand? Lucky for you, Sam's got a big heart. Get dressed and make tracks. This place is gonna blow soon.
Thank you.
Just don't come back and we're square.
Banishers: Ghosts of New Eden is a unique mix of supernatural action and heartfelt storytelling. You play as a pair of ghost hunters, Antea, who's trapped between life and death, and her partner Red, navigating a frontier town haunted by spirits. The game's atmosphere is hauntingly beautiful, and the emotional depth of the story really stands out. That said, the combat can feel a bit clunky at times, especially when juggling between Red's physical attacks and Antea's ghostly abilities. The pacing also slows down during certain sections, which might frustrate players who prefer constant action. Still, it's an emotional, memorable experience that's well worth your time if you enjoy narrative-driven games.
Kate.
It spoke her name with just one voice.
Thick Skin and Kate both accused. Is anyone in these damn woods innocent?
Then it were real. This beast. How did I miss you on my travels through the woods?
Because it did not want you.
Next up, we have Call of Juarez, Gunslinger, a Wild West shooter that's as stylish as it is fun. The game puts you in the boots of Silas Greaves, a bounty hunter telling his life story in a saloon. The unreliable narration adds a unique twist, with levels changing dynamically based on how Silas remembers events. The gunplay is fast, fluid, and incredibly satisfying. However, the game's heavy reliance on arcade-style combat might not appeal to everyone. The story, while entertaining, doesn't have much emotional depth. It's more about action than character development. Also, the game's visuals, while stylish, can feel dated in some areas. But if you're looking for a fun, straightforward shooter with a Wild West theme, this one won't disappoint.
But where was the kid while you were busy getting shot at?
Gone. And that's when it occurred to me why Billy set me free. So I could be a hapless decoy and draw attention while he snuck out of town.
A Plague Tale. Innocence is a deeply emotional journey set in 14th century France during the Black Death. You play as Amicia, a young woman protecting her younger brother Hugo, as they navigate a world torn apart by war, plague, and superstition. The game's stealth mechanics and the terrifying swarms of rats create a constant sense of tension, while the bond between Amicia and Hugo adds a heartfelt layer to the story. My main gripe with the game is its repetitive gameplay loop. While the rat mechanics are unique, the puzzles and stealth sequences don't evolve much as the story progresses. Additionally, some sections feel a bit too guided, leaving little room for creativity. Despite this, the gripping narrative and stunning visuals make A Plague Tale: Innocence an unforgettable experience for fans of story-driven games.
What's all the racket?
Eh? What's that? I'll have to go and see.
Few games managed to reinvent themselves as successfully as God of War 2018. Set in the Norse mythological era, this game shifts from the chaotic hack-and-slash style of its predecessors to a more grounded, story-focused adventure. You follow Kratos and his son Atreus as they embark on a journey to fulfill a deeply personal promise. The game masterfully blends intense combat, emotional storytelling, and breathtaking environments. However, the game's backtracking can be a bit of a chore, especially when exploring optional areas. Some players might also find the RPG elements, like crafting and upgrading gear, a bit overwhelming. Still, these are minor flaws in an otherwise phenomenal game that successfully combines action, story, and character development. Sherlock Holmes the Awakened takes the world's greatest detective and drops him into a dark, Lovecraftian mystery. This game reimagines Arthur Conan Doyle's iconic characters, blending classic detective work with supernatural horror. The investigations are engaging, and the game's eerie atmosphere keeps you on edge as you unravel the truth behind the cult-like mysteries. On the downside, some puzzles feel overly obtuse, requiring a lot of trial and error. The voice acting, while decent, doesn't always hit the emotional beats you'd expect from a story this dark. That said, the combination of detective work and horror makes The Awakened a unique and compelling experience, especially for fans of Sherlock Holmes. Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice is a game unlike any other. Set in a dark, Norse-inspired world, it tells the harrowing story of Senua, a warrior struggling with psychosis. The game's binaural audio design creates an unsettling experience, as you constantly hear voices whispering and arguing in Senua's mind. Its mix of puzzles, combat, and storytelling delivers an emotionally raw journey that's both haunting and beautiful. The game's combat, while serviceable, can feel repetitive and lacks the depth of other action titles. Similarly, the pacing slows down in certain sections where puzzles dominate the gameplay. But these are small issues in a game that so effectively conveys its protagonist's struggles. If you're looking for a powerful and immersive narrative experience, Hellblade is a must-play. Vampyr is a dark and moody RPG set during the Spanish flu pandemic and post-World War I London. You play as Dr. Jonathan Reed, a newly turned vampire torn between his oath to save lives and his bloodthirsty instincts. The game's morality system is its standout feature. You can choose to feed on innocent citizens for power, but doing so impacts the world around you. While the premise is intriguing, the combat can feel clunky and repetitive, which detracts from the overall experience. The game's dialogue-heavy sections, though rich in lore, might feel slow-paced for players expecting constant action. Still, Vampyr excels in its atmosphere and moral dilemmas, making it a fascinating journey for those who love narrative-driven games with tough choices. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle captures the spirit of the classic adventure films perfectly. Set in the early 20th century, you follow Indy as he embarks on a globe-trotting quest filled with archaeological wonders, Nazi conspiracies, and mysterious artifacts. The game's puzzles are clever and satisfying, while the action sequences bring that unmistakable Indiana Jones charm to life. However, some of the platforming sections feel a bit dated, with clunky controls that can make certain moments frustrating. Additionally, the story, while fun, plays it a little too safe and doesn't quite reach the epic heights of the movies. Even so, fans of Indy will appreciate this faithful adaptation of the iconic archaeologist's adventures.
Per me dovrebbero pagarci di più. Collaboriamo alla grande opera di Dio. È una ricompensa sufficiente. Oh, quel che è certo è che non vengo così lontano. Pensa all'eternità delle altre. La mia eterna anima esige 3 passi.
The Godfather game is a cinematic retelling of the classic film, with added layers that let you create your own character and rise through the ranks of the Corleone family. Set in the 1940s, the game offers a mix of action, strategy, and open-ended missions that complement the film's story. It's a must-play for fans of the movie and mob genre. Unfortunately, the game's mechanics haven't aged well. The combat feels repetitive, and the side missions often lack variety. While the story is engaging, it doesn't deviate much from the movie, which might leave returning fans wanting something more original. Despite these issues, the chance to immerse yourself in the world of The Godfather is still an experience worth having. Evil West takes you to a reimagined Wild West, where you play as a vampire hunter fighting hordes of supernatural foes. The game's linear structure allows for tight pacing, with every level packed with combat, exploration, and larger-than-life boss battles. Its over-the-top action and creative weaponry make it a blast to play. On the downside, Evil West leans heavily on its combat, which can feel repetitive after a while, especially during long play sessions. The story is serviceable but doesn't dig too deeply into its characters or lore. leaving some of its intriguing concepts underexplored. That said, if you're looking for pure action with a unique setting, this game delivers. The Sinking City is a haunting detective game set in the 1920s, inspired by the works of H.P. Lovecraft. You play as Charles Reed, a private investigator plagued by visions as he explores the flooded city of Oakmont. The game's open-ended investigations and oppressive atmosphere make it stand out in the genre. Unfortunately, the game suffers from clunky combat and occasional technical issues, which can break immersion. The pacing also drags at times due to repetitive tasks and slow movement. But if you're a fan of Lovecraftian horror and enjoy unraveling dark mysteries, The Sinking City offers an experience like no other.
So the fisherman pursued Albert.
We end our list with Bloodborne, a masterpiece from the creators of Dark Souls. Set in the Victorian-inspired city of Yharnam, the game combines brutal combat with intricate level design and a rich, cryptic lore. The Gothic atmosphere is unmatched, with every corner of the city telling its own story of decay, madness, and eldritch horror. However, the game's punishing difficulty isn't for everyone. It requires patience and precision, which can be daunting for newcomers to the genre. The story is also intentionally vague, leaving a lot up to interpretation, something that may frustrate players looking for straightforward narratives. But for those willing to embrace its challenges, Bloodborne is a dark, unforgettable journey. And there you have it, 15 linear games set in the past that deserve a place in your collection. Which of these games have you played, and which ones are you excited to try? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more gaming content. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.